Today on the BRICS Africa Channel, we're in conversation with one of Africa's innovative young entrepreneurs, Talifhani Banks. As the founder and CEO of Analytics X and Spaza Eats, Talifhani has been at the forefront of leveraging technology to drive transformative solutions for businesses and communities across the continent. His ventures are rooted in data analytics and the informal economy and are reshaping how we think about innovation, inclusion, and economic growth in Africa. Beyond his entrepreneurial pursuits, he's also an author, and his book, Beyond Ambition, challenges us to move past dreaming into actionable strategies for success. Today, we'll look into his journey, his vision for Africa's future, and his thoughts on leadership, economic transformation, and the role of technology in empowering local businesses. He was also the BRICS Entrepreneur of the Year in 2022. Talifhani, thank you so much indeed for joining us on the BRICS Africa Channel.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you, Peter. You've done amazing work, remarkable for years. So I appreciate being here.
Thank you so much indeed for that. But you've packed in a lot of things, almost a lifetime, some might say, in a short few years as an author, as an entrepreneur. And I just wonder, just as a first broad question, what would you say have been the defining moments that got you to where you are today?
Ooh, I had a sequence of defining moments. Sequence. But the most one that made me realize that I am him is the one when I was at BRICS Entrepreneur at Russia. From where I'm coming from, my father, I don't think they believe that you can dream that big. And I'm competing on the highest level of top entrepreneur. And that's when I realized when I won that even if I'm madness, even if I'm stupid, there's some truth here for me.
We'll talk about BRICS a bit more just now, but maybe let's go to where it all started, how it started, because you weren't an entrepreneur from day one. Take us through that journey that led you to the entrepreneurial dream.
Yes. Okay. So when I was growing up, I stayed in two places. One is next to Toyando back in Limpopo, and another one, that's where I spent most of my time, Louis Trechard. So when I was very young, around 5 years to 6, my mother used to really send us, myself and my brother, who's an accountant, to sell onions and tomatoes. And we would go house to house. It's like a village, and from the gate the people will be saying "Arna mat," or like they don't have money from that time. And I used to ask myself, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And we moved to Luetrecht, where I felt like now we are fine, maybe things are working for it. And she opened a Spaza shop, and that Spaza shop, I was the one buying things for her. This is like I'm 10 now, 11. I used to be the one going to shops to buy grocery for her and things to cook. I did it for a long time to a point where I loved it. I loved doing it. But it wasn't that I had a choice. I was just helping. And then when I got to university, I'm in University of Pretoria, I'm learning about Steve Jobs, this and that. These guys are doing remarkable things, that's inspired me. When I got to corporate, I was hurt. I thought corporate was the direction for me. I was hurt from first year that I didn't find the people like me in there. I looked at everyone. At my first year job, I was working at Massmart, and I went to Pick and Pay. I couldn't find it. And that's what made me realize this is not my room. I need to go back. I need to go back to entrepreneurship.
And so, what made you decide the line that you eventually took?
I think I graduated in statistics. I think numbers and technology is something that comes easy for me. Even if it's like hard to do, but it's something that I'm passionate to do. I'd rather be in that room figuring, and even if I'm the dumbest in that room, I love what people are saying and what they are doing in that room. And it's something that took me out of the streets where I'm coming from. I was not a good English speaker. I was not a good reader, but I'm a good numbers person. I can tell you, I can figure it out by just looking at things. So that's something that made me drive me to analytics and technology and just be in that room. I thought I would figure it out.
I'm just getting a sense, and we hear this all the time, but one often hears that if you want to get into business or do something well, make sure it's something that you're passionate about. Is that
Mm.
something that rings true for you then?
100%. 100%. And Peter, before I jumped corporate, I spent 3 years of asking myself, is this for me? And every time I used to never get an answer. And so I listen to every motivational speaker. If you tell me one person from Les Brown, I will tell you what he said when on which video. I was analyzing, and what I figured from all of these guys, you have to love what you're doing. You have to have passion for it. That even if it's tough and it's annoying and you are failing, you would have somehow built a little bit of influence there and just make sure it's right.
I'm gonna speak, and it might feel like we're going from left to right, but I just have things keeping coming into my head, at the moment I'm thinking about this book Beyond Ambition, and the
Yeah.
title intrigues me, and I just wonder when you put it together, what were you
Mm.
saying? What had got you to that point, and what's the message?
Yeah, so I'm still here to write my main biography, but with this one, I didn't want it to be like a complex book. It's just like steps to jump, steps to discovering your true self. And you have to imagine yourself beyond just doing normal things. Let's call normal ways of doing things and normal habits ambition. But now, to do that extraordinary work that represents you to make a mark, you have to think beyond ambition. From uh, craving an idea or having an idea, and we're calling it a crave, just meditate it so much that you get to the next chapter where you now make a decision that will change everything else. And when you have made a decision, make a meaningful association in that decision. So now you have meaningful association, associate yourself with the people who have been in there. And then it goes on with chapters. It's like a blueprint to start and begin something.
Okay, so I guess through all of this, there's often a philosophy or underlying values that guide you and keep you on the path. What would you say that philosophy or those values are for you personally in everything that you do?
Yes. Thank you for that question because I think it's the main one for me right now. I used to be inspired by the story of Joseph because he had so many visions and he used to speak a lot of stories. I see the moon here. I used to think like I'm that to my brothers because I used to tell them, this is what we're going to do. I live in the future. And they just looked at me like, yeah, you are mad, man. Who have you seen? And so the story of Joseph makes me realize that it doesn't matter what environment you are in. It's the download, it's the universe you have in your mind and the information you are being given that counts. So my spirituality is my backbone. And because of that, there's no business or anything that will stop me from preaching, from from staying my truth, from taking care of my family, from taking care of my team. I feel like my spirituality guides me, and also I feel like you can hear guidance from image when you're sleeping, from words, from someone talking to you, and I get message in those different ways. So my spirituality connects me to the right people, and um, I'm always aligned.
So let's talk about business. Let's start with Spaza Eats, actually. And just as you shared your story about what you did for your mom, is that you're going back to your first venture in business, but in an updated format?
It's my pain. I used to be so much in pain that I didn't understand why we were doing this thing and why we were so poor. And when I was in BRICS, I started asking myself that I need to build something that will make direct impact. And that was the thing I know about Spazas, because in my family, you'll find that everyone went to university. Everyone is a genius in what they're doing, but they're coming from that Spaza shop. So it's my interpretation to say, if I'm going to help a family or help them in any kind of way, I can build a platform that allows them to attract more orders, allow them to become bankable, allow them to take care of their family through this Spaza shop. And I couldn't think of anything else except this digital ecosystem. So Spaza it is that.
Okay, so the one thing, the thread that seems to be coming through, and then eventually this bigger business that you started, Analytics X. I just wonder where we are as a continent in terms of data and AI and the need to be on this technological train. Because I feel like if we don't get on the train and run towards first class, we're going to get left behind.
Massively behind, and Peter, and it shouldn't be like that. I'm glad that University of Pretoria called me for 2025. You'll see me doing career fairs. It's like a prodigal son return home, and they're starting to recognize my potential. Um, I'm seeing a lot of us not realizing what data is and AI is. So my vision of building Analytics X and Analytics Advertising Spaza was to bring science, technology, and engineering. But as I was in the business, I'm realizing other guys are building things to change the world, like AI. AI is like um, it takes me back when we didn't have cell phone, when we were using landline. And Africa was very much disconnected. You find the landline here and another one far from it. You could walk distance to make a call. We were decentralized, like we were not connected. But when cell phone came, cell phone was a solution to our disconnection. Now you don't need poles closer. It's a solution. AI is that. AI is you don't have to know coding. You don't have to know analytics. You don't have to know statistics, actuarial science. Just by you understanding how to use AI and asking question on AI, you can build a website. You can have a dashboard. You can understand how to migrate. You can understand the law. You can write contract. You can understand engineering. You can understand science. So all of that missing pieces that we didn't have, now you have it in one laptop. What that means is that we should forget about what we didn't have. Let's use AI to create new things. So another example you'll see that the Teslas and them, they're creating humanoid robots. Those robots, in the next 5 to 10 years, they are predicting that they will have, for every 3 people, there will be one humanoid robot in the office and at home. At home, you'll have a humanoid robot helping you to make food and this and that. And that humanoid robot is digitally connected on cloud, like what we're doing now on cloud, that whatever is doing in my house here, it's are now available. That information is now available on cloud, that your humanoid robot in your house can know what mine did, that it does it real time. When are we going to prepare for that? That we prepare our ways of work. The future of work is different. The manufacturing, you could have one guy waiting there. No, today we need to make 200 cement. All of that is wiped out. There's no more that guy defining that how many cement. The humanoid robots, the system can now communicate with the existing stock and the frequency of orders that we receive in a month. So system is communicating by itself that the orders that are going to come from this client and this client is this number. And currently we're sitting with the stock, make this number of production. So now what do we need 200 people? This is what is coming. So we need to now educate ourselves on future ways of work, and no one is ready. So it's a playing field for all of us.
Wow, it's exciting, scary a bit as well at the same time.
Yeah.
But I think also one of the benefits of being in Africa and on the African continent is whilst we've been left behind, we've had opportunities to jump phases that other parts of the world have had to go through. And maybe that's a huge opportunity for us.
That's the advantage.
You did an interesting TEDx talk, Unlocking Africa's Potential. And I get a sense you're a solutions-driven person. There's a lot of people, as a journalist, I see a lot of desperateness and a loss of hope.
Yeah.
Speak to me now about that potential and why we should be hopeful going forward as a continent.
First one, we are disconnected. We are working in our own small villages, and you call them South Africa, you call them Zimbabwe, you call them. These villages don't have enough capital and currency by its own to carry us and create a wealth around the continent. We need to remove barricades. African continental free trade. We need to start practicing that. Secondly, we have the youngest age youth dividend in the continent, under 25 years. These are youth that can, if they learn what we have to do now, they will have so much potential and so much number. They will be increasing in so much number that they can now create potential. Now you go to renewable energy. The sun is natural here. Then nature is natural. There's so much you can do with nature, and we just don't realize our potential. We are disconnected so that the Europeans and them, they can come and loot properly by country. If you are now fenced in one area and you understand that there's an importance to unite the continent and work together, 3-4 billion, and I'm saying that in knowing that the census said 1.3, but I also know that the guy who put the census and that they're calculating didn't count all of us. So the stat is wrong. We are so many here and we know how to live. We have culture. We know how to live together. You've seen people that you talk to, you thought they had heart. They are not, they don't have anything. And that's what's missing. They're not spiritually connected. We are connected people. So all of this gives you resources to know that firstly, you can work together. Secondly, you can have focus and look at your natural resources and say, okay, we've got manganese. Ghana is got a competitive advantage with rice and other seeds and cocoa. You start trading amongst each other before you go outside. Another thing is this, logistics. If I want to go to a country in the continent, I have to go to Europe and come back. That's an opportunity now for rail and airways that we can create here. The other one is the one that I'm in now within Spaza. It's an e-commerce. That's one of the biggest ways to solve the current problems right now. I think Africa is made by villages. And what Soweto is how Botswana Gaborone is, it's how Harare is, it's how Rwanda in Kigali is. So if I can get to have this technology that is working properly with multiple restaurants and grocery stores that are now increasing their sales per day, and they are now increasing their workers 1, 2, 3, and they are now making from 4,000, they are now making 20, 30,000, one restaurant. Some of them even multiply to 2, 3. I take the same mindset, I put it in Harare. So I apply the same mindset. Spaza, we eat in Spaza, and Harare, we eat in different things. Locally designed food that is serving people from there. And then I take the same thing. I go to Botswana, I go to Namibia, I go to Kenya. These are solutions for us. There is no way you cannot connect the continent and you can't create wealth. The reason why we are behind economically, we are using international solutions to solve our problems here. And when I was in Russia, I learned something. There's no street kids. Street kids are people who sleep outside because it's warm and they're going to find that. Everywhere is cold. The floor is cold. It's icy. The problem does not allow. We need to find ways with our opportunities here that will make us exist. And Africa is blessed with problems, so many problems that we've got a solution for. If you go to the States, there's always a solution for everything. What can you create now that will be disruptive? I feel like Spaza is something that is already existing in US, but here it's disruptive because it's targeting, So those are things we need to do. Create solutions for us and for the continent beyond your one country.
BRICS Entrepreneur of the Year 2022. Talk to me about that award because that's what you started with. And it seems to me that was a big moment for you. So what did that award mean? And also, what does BRICS mean generally for you?
That award means from where I'm coming from, all the questions that I used to ask myself, and I never believed in myself that much. And all the things that I thought it was not for us, it's because of our interpretation of how we see things. The universe is in your mind, is in you. And you can change to change the world, you have to change your universe. And unfortunately, many of our universe independently are brainwashed to believe that we are not worth it. We don't have it. And we need to depend on someone else. When I was in BRICS and I'm competing with some of the best innovators, some people are creating sea cars, some people are creating solutions in China, some Brazil. I didn't win because I had the best innovation. I think I won because my solution solved the best ways of doing business in manufacturing for a company that moved my system to Europe and also to Middle East. That's what made me won. Because some of those guys were building nice solution, but they were thinking their continent. And I was already, but beyond that, I do not think that what I was doing was powerful. What's powerful is creating a solution that will make impact in your community and your continent. So what the BRICS Entrepreneurship Award means to me is that you are capable, and many people like you are capable. But because they don't have a representation like Mensa Musa, they don't know that they can do this. And I want to be a Mensa. When I came back, I started wearing my hat and I started changing my presentation. I was saying that I'm Mensa. And even if I'm not directly linked to him, I'm one of his, you know what I mean? Like, I'm one of him that I'm gonna live in the modern day. That's when I knew I'm gonna do what it takes.
And the BRICS itself, I mean, when the founding fathers of the grouping came together, they wanted to reorder the world order. It had typically been run and continues to, in many respects, Western based. Do you think that Africa can be helped by this new way of thinking and this new order that the BRICS grouping is creating?
Yeah, so I would start first and say, I think Africa needs its own solution. Africa needs its own things, own banks, own what. And provided that we park this aside, I would say BRICS is the second solution to what we already have. We've got sanctions in Zimbabwe that I don't understand. The economy is beautiful, beautiful people, beautiful land that you can harvest, and you get someone else from Western to dictate your currency, dictate your economic opportunities. I look at Vladimir Putin, and I see a soldier who stands against people who want to oppress others. When I see Vladimir Putin, I see the president of China, and I see the president of South Africa and other presidents in the UAE that are joining this economics. That's a new way of redefining federal banks, because our Reserve Bank, we don't own it. Our SARS, we don't own it. There's some guy out there from Western economies who tells you what to do and what not to do. And I feel like these new ways can redefine our future of work. Now that we are awakened, we can know in that contract what we are getting into. Because some of the contracts that we fall in the West Africa, that is taking like the contract that you signed in thousands of years ago says that for everything you do with your gold, pass through us. What kind of contract is that? So when I look at BRICS, we are canceling all the agreements that were done before. And that's why I want to be sided with the BRICS to cancel all of that has put my continent behind. And I'm willing to be a soldier for it. If I have to be part of politics and business, I will stand for that we need to redefine our economics through BRICS. And I think that's the direction.
But ultimately, it has to be African led for Africans, African
100%.
solutions.
One
Through all
president,
of
one currency.
through all of this, I keep hearing the word working together, breaking down barriers, and collaboration. How do we get that right? I think the platforms that people like you are creating could be that lever, right?
Yes, one of. Within this economics that I'm creating, you can now add bankability. So I'm talking to banks now. All banks, there's no bank who told me they are not interested. Everyone wants that database. And also talking about Spaza Capital, where we now can fund those merchants because this ecosystem becomes a financial tool to tell you how they are doing and how they are performing. Now you talk about Mukuru, you talk about M-Pesa. In this ecosystem, you've got wallet for Spaza shops and wallet for customers. Guys can send each other monies. So this is one of the solutions that allows people to work together. But I believe that the continent is built and rooted with culture, that collaboration is not, it's not foreign, but it becomes foreign when you are programmed that this is your room and you should not go outside. This is your room. But to me, 54 rooms in one house, and we are all family. We just need to know that if I need salt, I can comfortably come through the door and knock. And you know what I mean? And those are the signs that we need to create. But collaboration is there. I think that we need to now think continental solution. Everyone is building solutions, but they are village sited. They don't help multiple people. And I was sitting with these guys from government, and I'm trying to look for money, and I'm telling, they're like, how many people did you employ on Spaza? Because I know that I've employed few, and I'm dictated by the funds here. I said, this is what I've done, but I do not think that's how you should look at this. How many people, how many jobs we have created through this technology by myself without you guys involved? That's what we should be asking. 1,300 delivery men, over 1,800 Spaza shops and restaurants that are active. We've got 4,500, but 1,800 that are active, that I truly know one of or two of them have created at least one job. So how many jobs have I created? That's the question. And then compared with any other innovator who is here, who has created the same in a short period of time, you should be funding me different. Then they said, no, you know, technology is hard to fund because we don't understand it. We're going to be funding manufacturing. What they're saying to me is we're going to do what China has done right, and we're going to do it the same way here. We need to realize that the continent needs its own solution. What I have done connects every culture, every people in one room. You can't see you can't see which culture I am when I'm on the helmet and I'm delivering. It's not about culture. It's about delivering. You know, so yeah, those are problems that I have. Yeah.
As we wrap up our conversation, I'm going to take you back to something you said in your first answer. And you said that you live in the future. And I'm now wondering, what does that future look like? And what will you be doing?
If I'm still here existing, I will be on a high level, I will be talking like thought leadership, talking about what we should be doing so I can influence and spark the brain of the child who has been gifted with answers. So I will be still speaking, and I'm very I don't know how I come, but I think I make you think when I'm speaking, and I'm gonna use that. Secondly, I feel like we need to build our own data centers because firstly, we are using international data centers that we do not own our own data. And I was in Botswana, and I'm working with one of the manufacturing companies, and I was talking to the CEO of a bank company in Botswana, and he's like, as you know, Botswana is migrating to our own local data centers. And I'm like, this is what we need to be thinking, but not just for one country. It should be for continent data centers. And I will be getting involved into engineering solutions like these humanoid robots, this and that, to be part of that ecosystem. I will also be involved in intercontinental trade to allow continental trade. So one of the things that I've seen here, people are blocked and mindset is locked, psychological chain to think that when you are in Gauteng, you know the continent. I want to allow people to see Burundi, to see Kigali, you know, to see Tanzania, and I want to be the face of that. That's why Mensa Musa for me, it rounds up what I want to do.
And perhaps one final thought. There's
Yeah,
probably young people watching this because our continent is young.
yeah.
What advice would you give aspiring entrepreneurs, leaders about how to navigate what's coming how to start. Because that's another thing I keep hearing. Just start. What's
Yeah,
your
yeah.
advice to them?
I would like to say this. Doesn't matter how I end up, but I'm the voice of this generation. And what I can tell you is Steve Biko was fighting political. It was a political fight. And that's why some of us are benefiting that now. Ours is economic. Ours is economic. And economically, you have been psychologically blocked to not think beyond your small house, beyond your village. And you need to realize that we are all living in our own universe. Nothing is happening outside of you. Those ideas, those visions, they are all in your universe. And your universe is already perfect. You shouldn't wait for someone else from another continent to approve your universe. If you can agree with your subconscious mind and your conscious mind aligned and start doing things even unknowing, even if you don't know how it's going to end up, you do it consistently without giving up, at least 3 years, and you are passionate about it and you're talking it every day, I guarantee you, there's no way it won't work. 100% guarantee. You will create it.
Talifhani Banks, it's been an incredible pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much indeed for joining us on the BRICS Africa channel.
Peter, I appreciate you, and you have been the voice of the continent. And I'd like people to know that you've played your role, and you've sort of put a red mat for us to walk in. I am appreciative that I've met you and I've walked with you. What you don't realize is that for me, I used to watch you long back in the days, and I'm like, this is beautiful. These guys, how do they do this?
Wow.
And now that I'm talking to you, it's a stepping stone to what I need to do next. I need to represent.
Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
My brother.